Hey everybody, we are going to start our series. So today what I want to do is whether you're teachers or whether you're parents or even if you're kids that are tuning in, I want to give you some tips on ways you can go about thinking, whether you're reading stories or whether you're reading books that are nonfiction, or even if you're watching your favorite series on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime. The biggest thing I think that we can do during this time is to make sure that we're just doing good thinking. And the great benefit of this is that whether we're doing that kind of thinking when we're watching movies or series, that thinking can transfer across to even when we read books. So it's very real world. And I think this is something that I'm hoping will support you guys as parents, because maybe you don't have access to school libraries right now. And so what I want to start with is how when I get ready to read a book or even to watch a series on Netflix or Hulu or Prime, is I have to kind of figure out, well, which one do I want and how do I get my mind ready to read or watch that? So that's what we're going to start with. So when I'm reading fiction or nonfiction, right, regardless of which one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the title of the book, and I'm going to then read the blurb. So we're going to talk in this session just on the idea of titles and blurbs, and what if there's not a blurb, and then also how do I find that whenever I'm looking on, a program that's on one of the internet series. So we'll start with fiction. So we know here this book is called Pinky and Rex and the Double Dad Weekend. This is by James Howe. Great series, one of my faves. And so when I look at this, even just from the title and even looking at the picture here, we can see that, this is a series, Pinky and Rex, and it says Double Dad Weekend. So, and here are the two dads. So I already kind of have an idea that in this particular episode of Pinky and Rex, it's going to involve their dads. I'm going to flip over and read the blurb on the back, because the blurb oftentimes, if it's a paperback, is going to be right here on the back. And it says, Pinky and Rex are looking forward to a camping adventure with their dads. They'll hike in the woods and roast marshmallows over a campfire, but a thunderstorm has come along to ruin all their plans. How can the best friends save their double day weekend? So I know that we can all understand what that's like to have our plans ruined. And so that's all we'll say about that. What I can tell you is by looking at the back, I know I've got Pinky and Rex and dads. It's here. It's also on the blurb. And I'm getting an idea of what they want. Like they're really excited about going on this camping trip together. And so that's setting up already characters and a bit of even the setting and the desire of the characters, right? So we know we're going to go out in the woods. It says they're going to hike in the woods and roast marshmallows over campfires. So I can even begin having a mental image in my head of them gathering and packing all their things to go camping. So like they're probably, taking sleeping bags and, totally marshmallows and maybe even some chocolate and graham crackers. That's what I would be taking if I was going to have to go camping. And that they're packing these things up in maybe backpacks because they're going to go hiking. So I see them and they're excited, right? I could even imagine that Pinky and Rex are excited about this because they're getting to go camping on a weekend. But then it says, a thunderstorm has come along to ruin all their plans. So that's almost that dun 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 moment of trouble or problem in the story. So I haven't even read the story yet, but I've already got a good framework for my thinking as I travel through the story. The blurb kind of helps give me the trajectory of the storyline with the characters, setting when setting's important, and the problem. And so I can see that they're going to try to save the weekend. So I can imagine there's moments where they're really worried and they're probably talking to each other, like, what can we do? So that's one thing that I'm always going to do whenever I'm reading a work of fiction. When I look at the blurb, is I'm going to think about character setting and problem. And then if I'm looking at nonfiction, I know that nonfiction is information about the real world. And so this particular one is airplanes. And this is a series called Little Explorer that the Smithsonian publishes through Capstone Press. I love this series. So if you have kids that love nonfiction, they will go nuts over this series. And if we look on the back, because it's paperback, it also has a blurb. So if I read this blurb that says, on airplanes, it says, cleared for takeoff. Hop in the cockpit and discover the amazing science of flight. Explore the many different types of airplanes and cool features that help these machines fly high in the sky. So when I'm looking at nonfiction, I'm thinking about topic and what will I learn. So the title even helps me with the topic, which is airplanes. But I'm actually going to learn some very specific information. So in my mind, I'm saying, okay, so I know I'm going to learn that there's different kinds of airplanes and some cool features that help them fly high in the sky. So I have a little friend, his name is Miles, and he loves airplanes. So I think I'm going to be sure and give him a call and read this book to him later on this week. So going back, regardless of whether it's fiction or nonfiction, I can use the title and the blurb to help get my mind ready for reading. Now, that's not any different if I'm using, a higher level young adult book, right? This is The False Prince, a great series. I literally read all 3 of these and loved them. And so same thing, if I go to the back, here's a blurb, right? But some of the books that we have are hardbacks. And this is actually my grown-up book. So the great thing is that this is, regardless of whether I'm going to do fiction or nonfiction, or whether it's going to be lower level type texts or higher level type texts, I'm going to be able to do this same work. And so this is the Book of Life. The difference is that if I have a hardback with a book jacket, right, like this, if I open it up, here's the blurb. And you'll notice that the more sophisticated the story or the text, then we may get more information on the blurb, which actually is great. And when I get into books that are like this, that are more sophisticated, I'm going to get characters, setting, problem, and even some other setbacks that are probably going to occur. And oftentimes it may even hint at resolution or theme right inside of the blurb. So a great way to get, kids started in their reading work is just to make sure they've done good thinking before they ever crack open the book. So then what does that look like if I'm going to be, watching Netflix? So I've pulled something up. So I'm going to turn my laptop around here so we can see it. So this is one I've pulled up. This is Leap. And it's the same thing. So here's the title. And right here is the blurb. It says, Felicia and Victor are 2 young friends in 1880s France, escaped from an orphanage to pursue their dreams in Paris, the glittering city of lights. So even by just reading that, I have this idea that I've got these 2 characters and how they're really escaping a really troublesome time because they've had to live in an orphanage because they want to pursue their dreams. And if I look at the title, it's Leap. And if I even look at just the visual that's provided, I can see that it's dance. And when I watch the trailer, I'm going to get even more of the blurb. So one thing you can do with your kids is make sure that you're having conversations with them when they're watching TV. And one way of doing that is, reading the blurb, watching the trailer, and getting them to think about what are some of the things that they're going to see. Leap's fiction. So it's the same thing. Characters, what's their trouble? What's the problem? What is it that they want? What do they have to overcome? And then how might that go about? If I'm going to watch a documentary like March of the Penguins or another, because I'm a documentary junkie. Like I have been watching a lot of documentaries since we've been home. And it's the same thing. You can read the blurb. And then on each episode of the series that you're watching, there's another blurb. So be sure to just have some conversations with your kiddos and just some good thinking that can go with that. And I'm going to make sure that I post this on the YouTube channel. You can leave some feedback there. Be sure and you like the channel. And I'll put another lesson on very soon. Thanks. Bye.